There are American engines so problematic, so feared, and so unpredictable that even the most experienced mechanics prefer to keep their distance. Some were born of corporate haste, others of exaggerated ambition, and some simply defied the logic of engineering. They seemed innovative, modern, even promising, but they became shop nightmares known for catastrophic failures, impossible maintenance, and costs that destroyed entire cars. Today, you will discover the 7 American engines mechanics are afraid to touch, and understand why each one went down in history as a silent warning to the industry. Some ideas should have stayed on paper. In the 70s, GM desperately wanted to face the Japanese invasion. The Vega was intended to be the modern American warrior, lightweight, cheap, and engineered ahead of its time. To achieve this, GM bet on an entirely aluminum 2.3-liter engine, using the controversial silicon-impregnated aluminum bore (Alusil) process. The major mistake was execution. GM lacked the thermal control, materials, or precision needed in 1971. The engine chronically overheated because the cooling system was undersized, and the block warped under heat. The silicon coating wore down quickly, allowing the piston rings to destroy the cylinder walls. Many engines consumed 1 quart of oil every 300 to 500 miles. A report from the era described the Vega as a car that consumes itself. Mechanics hated opening it. Machining the block was almost impossible, and the cost made no sense. In the 90s and early 2000s, the 3.1/3.4 V6 was one of GM's most widely used engines. Malibu, Grand Am, Lumina, Grand Prix. It was everywhere. It was cheap, simple, and absolutely problematic. GM, attempting to cut production costs, used intake manifold gaskets made of nylon and plastic instead of metal, which were incapable of resisting the heat of real-world operation and coolant corrosion. What happened in thousands of cars? The gaskets softened and cracked, allowing coolant to mix with the oil. The combination created a toxic mayonnaise that destroyed bearings, clogged galleries, and ruined the entire engine due to sludge and lack of lubrication. The problem was so common that shops across the U.S. spent years replacing contaminated engines. It was one of the biggest silent embarrassments in GM engineering. A clear case of penny pinching leading to total destruction. The Ford Taurus SHO looked like an ordinary sedan until you opened the hood. Inside was a DOH C24 valve engine created by Yamaha, a mechanical masterpiece capable of revving higher than many sports cars of the era. The engine was complex, cramped, and totally unlike traditional American V8s. The mechanic's main fear was the timing belt replacement. It was a process that could take 10 hours, required exclusive Yamaha tools, and extensive disassembly, including removing a motor mount. The slightest oversight resulted in interference, bent valves, and a destroyed engine. Furthermore, the valves had complex shims for adjustment, a rarity in the U.S. Forums often quote mechanics refusing the job. If it's SHO, it's a no. An incredible engine, but an expensive nightmare for anyone who had to work on it. Between the late 90s and early 2000s, the Chrysler 2.7 V6 earned a terrifying nickname, the Sludge engine. And it was no exaggeration. Official reports show this engine had one of the highest rates of oil sludge formation in American automotive history. The problem started with the design. Oil passages were too narrow, and the water pump was chain-driven and located internally. A common failure of the water pump leaked coolant directly into the oil pan. The mixture quickly cooked the oil, clogging the channels and leading to the catastrophic failure of the main bearings and crankshaft. The issue was exacerbated by owner neglect regarding oil changes. Mechanics in the U.S. say that when a 2.7 arrives at the shop, 90% of the time, the sludge has already condemned the engine. At the height of the oil crisis, GM rushed to dieselize its cars quickly. Instead of designing a dedicated diesel engine, they adapted the gasoline V8 350 block. The diesel engine requires significantly higher compression, and the original block simply couldn't handle it. The fatal flaw was using only 4 head bolts per cylinder, while heavy-duty diesels used up to 6. The bolts stretched, allowing the head gaskets to explode and water to enter the oil. Many engines failed before 30,000 miles, leading to multi-million-dollar lawsuits against GM mechanics avoided the Olds 350D because the engine was a time bomb with an unsolvable structural defect. The disaster was so great it severely damaged the light-duty diesel market in the U.S. for decades. Used in millions of F-150s, expeditions, and vans, the Triton 5.4 is loved by the public and hated by mechanics. It combines 2 legendary and expensive failures: ejecting spark plugs. The soft aluminum head and few threads cause the plugs to literally blow out of the cylinder head. Worse, the original 2-piece spark plugs often broke inside the head during removal. Phasers and timing chain. The cam phasers fail, the hydraulic tensioners wear out, and the chain stretches, causing the engine to rattle like a diesel out of time. Fixing this requires removing the radiator, dismantling half the front of the engine, and using special tools. It is expensive, time-consuming, and traumatizing. A mechanic on Reddit wrote, "The 5.4 Triton is how you punish your apprentice." The Northstar is a rare case, an engine loved by drivers and feared by mechanics. DOHC, lightweight, powerful, and advanced, but with a devastating internal flaw. The chronic problem was with the head bolts, which loosened over time and heat, destroying the gasket. The point of terror is that, due to the engine's transverse mounting in F&D Cadillacs, the gasket repair required the complete removal of the engine and transmission. The labor cost was prohibitive. To save them, third-party shops had to invent repair kits, time certs, to rethread the bolt holes in the block. A solution the factory was slow to adopt. Structural failures, coupled with the absurd maintenance cost, made the Northstar the most feared engine in the modern American industry. We have seen ambition turn into a nightmare, and the price of failed engineering paid in the repair shops. And now we want to hear from you. Which of these 7 engines was your biggest mechanical nightmare? Or what infamous American engine was missing from this list of terror? Leave your experience and your opinion in the comments below. We want to know if GM, Ford, or Chrysler made you spend the most. If you were surprised by the history of the Oldsmobile diesel, or felt the terror of the Triton 5.4 spark plug, hit the like button on this video that helps us continue investigating the dark secrets of the automotive industry. To avoid missing the next investigation from Remember That Car about abandoned cars, secret engines, and legendary engineering failures, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now.